So for example, if you were to move some Ethereum from your Phantom wallet to your MetaMask wallet or to a centralized exchange, as long as you have beneficial ownership of that asset, there is no tax implications here whatsoever. Here's an introduction to the complicated yet ever-growing industry where the two worlds of crypto and taxation collide. Here's some of my most frequently asked questions. Do I need to pay taxes on my crypto? The short answer is yes. I'm going to elaborate as to when those tax moments are, as I believe that that's going to give you the most value, if you like, for this video. Usually speaking, the taxable moment for the majority of viewers, I suspect, will be when you dispose of the asset. So this is a sell, swap, gift, or trade. So whenever the quantity of your crypto assets reduce, you really need to decide and think about why that's happened and if it's disposal and therefore a taxable moment. It's not necessarily when you convert to fiat. Now, sometimes there is a taxable moment when you receive crypto. So when there's an acquisition of a new asset. The usual culprits and situations would be when you are staking, when you are receiving rewards, when you're mining, or if it is in lieu of payment for services. So for example, if you were to pay me Bitcoin for my services, that's a taxable moment. Another usual question I get is, how is staking income taxed in the UK? Now, for those in this space, it might feel like interest, where you've got some form of asset that's generating you more assets, usually cash and interest. It's very similar. It is not considered interest for UK tax purposes. This would be considered as miscellaneous income or other income, if you like. This is under the income tax regime, but has no national insurance contributions attached to it. So you'll be paying either 20, 40 or 45% tax on this. Now, please remember, you may be able to use your trading allowance up to £1,000 against this. So in some situations, up to £1,000 of your staking income could indeed be tax-free. And if it's more than that, or it's not applicable, it will be taxed under the income tax regime as miscellaneous. Do I pay tax when transferring assets between wallets? No, as long as you still have beneficial ownership of said wallets. So for example, if you were to move some Ethereum from your Phantom wallet to your MetaMask or to a centralized exchange, as long as you have beneficial ownership of that asset, there is no tax implications here whatsoever. There could be tax implications if you do transfer it to a wallet that isn't owned by you. So for example, maybe it's a friend or family or spouse. However, please remember with spouses, there is a nil gain, nil loss for interspousal transfers, which means you can transfer assets to spouses without triggering a account. What records do I need to keep for crypto trades? Now, this is actually a really interesting topic. I would always recommend keeping both API keys and CSV files. Now, how would you do that? In a lot of situations when you're using software, and I would always recommend you use software when dealing with crypto taxation, you have the ability to upload an API key into the software, which is effectively a Now, when you are dealing with the data, there sometimes are holes because the data isn't perfect. Now, you'd be expected to plug in most of these holes, especially those that are material. And one of the best ways to do so is with CSV files. Now, this is a downloadable Excel document, if you like, from certain platforms, whereby you can then upload into the software manually. In theory, the CSV file and the API integration should match, but it doesn't usually. Now, I believe this is a technological issue. However, it should only improve going forward, fingers crossed. It really does depend on the chains and protocols that you are using. So I would always keep both of those. HMRC, if they were to investigate you, will ask for the CSV files for all of your wallets, even if the API integration is much better data. So I would keep both of those. You're supposed to keep them for 5 years. I would say keep it for 10 where possible, especially considering it's software and data rather than, bits of paper or things that can easily be wrong. Finally, what is the best accounting software for your crypto portfolio? Unfortunately, I do not have that one single answer for everyone. It does depend on your personal needs. It depends on your portfolio, and it depends on the user interface that you prefer. Each software will have their own battles to fight, so it depends whether you'd want to fight a lack of source data and missing costs, or if you'd rather fight on an Excel spreadsheet to deal with those solutions. A few that we would use would include Recap, UK homegrown, excellent customer service, and the user. Koinly is another one we would use as well. They have a very widespread of API integration capabilities, which does help. It's very malleable, intuitive for us accountants to then deal with it. And of course, Crypto Tax Calculator is another one where the data it draws from is excellent in most cases. So perhaps try those, completely up to you. But there are other options out there, and to be honest, most of them will work to a certain degree. Please remember that regardless of what software you use, you will need to reconcile that data. If you're an accountant and you use something like Xero and QuickBooks, and your client wants to upload their bank feed into Xero, QuickBooks, whatever it might be, and then all you do is look at it and go, yep, that's fine. Let's save the accounts here. How incorrect is that going to be? Undoubtedly so, right? That's very similar with crypto accounting and crypto bookkeeping. If you were to not do the bookkeeping and reconciliation on the software helps, it's a tool. And yes, some offer the option to pay to have it reconciled by their team. And that will certainly be better than just plugging everything in and printing or saving those relevant statements. I believe the UK are in a particular position where education around this content is imperative, both for the government, accountants, and of course, retail investors themselves, let alone the actual organizations and institutions that are building companies and businesses around blockchain, crypto, and just Web3 in general. So please do help us out and support the channel.